Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Bisola and this is the Relatable with Bisola. This is where we do actionable tips and strategies to issues and challenges that we face as a people. Alright, if this is your first time of stopping by, I want to say a big thank you to you for stopping by. Please do remember to click on the subscribe button and then turn on your notification bell so that as soon as I post a video, you'll be the first to know. And to my returning subscribers, I want to say a big thank you to each and every one of you for the support so far. Alright, without much ado, let's jump straight to today's topic, which is how to cope with nagging. We start talking about how to cope with nagging. I would like to correct this erroneous belief or opinion that nagging is gender-based. Both men and women nag. However, majority can be found in my gender. Number one is give it another name. One of the best ways to resolve nagging in marriage is to avoid the use of the word nagging. Yes, because it's a communication breaker, you can adopt subtle words like persistent request, continuous demand, etc. Because when you do, your spouse will be willing to sit down and then have that conversation with you. For instance, if a spouse has been making a continuous request for a housemaid or a help, and the husband feels he's not ready to give in to that request, it is more important that when the husband is resolving the issue, he does not use the word nag. Because the moment he uses that word, I'm sure the wife will not be willing to listen to whatever he has to say. Rather, he should adopt the word continuous demand or persistent request. Up next is a trigger. Just like any other issues, nagging does not just start out of the blues or overnight. There's always a trigger. There's always a root cause. The moment this root cause can be identified and then nipped in the bud, I'm sure we can resolve nagging in that particular marriage. Although there are some nagging that are temporary, while some are actually permanent. Let's take a scenario of a temporary nagging. With the harsh economic reality, a husband who has been working in the banking sector for a couple of years, but hasn't been promoted in the last 6 years, only to be faced with 30% salary reduction, and he begins to nag. He takes it up on his wife and probably his family. A man who would come home ordinarily and wouldn't request for a glass of water, but will go fetch it himself. And then all of a sudden, he begins to request for a glass of water as he comes in, being aware that his wife must have worked herself out in the office and then caring for the kids. But he changes all of a sudden and then begins to demand for a glass of water as soon as he gets into his house, and then begin to make other unnecessary demands, trying to assert his authority on his wife or his family, which obviously none of his family members is contesting with him. This is a trigger. We obviously know the trigger would have been the deduction in his salary. He faced a 30% reduction. He's been facing lack of promotion in the last 6 years. Then you can understand his plight. I'm sure the moment such a husband gets a better offer, that nagging will go away. Or if he gets his salary restored, that nagging will go away. So it's a temporary kind of nag. And moving straight to the next is reward and compensation. Having spoken to your spouse about their weakness and the need to turn a new leaf, everyone deserves a pat in the back. Why not begin by encouraging such a spouse? When he or she doesn't nag, you compensate them for not nagging. Yes, this makes it easy for such a person to drop the weakness, while at the same time, you are trying to fight a weakness together as a family while showing affection, love, sacrifice, and commitment. Okay, I'm sure when you adopt compensation and reward style, your spouse will definitely drop nagging. For instance, if a spouse easily gets irritable and nags when his or her in-law visits, maybe due to increased chores or increased bills, one of the ways to appreciate such a spouse or to help them stop nagging is to compensate them for the sacrifice and the commitment that they have made. And finally is consider couples therapy. Asking a counselor or a therapist for help is one of the greatest routes to take when addressing or resolving conflicts around nagging in marriages. Asking a counselor or a therapist for help is one of the best ways to resolve conflicts around nagging. The truth is, in part of the world, we are not used to seeing therapists or counselor. We must begin to normalize seeing counselors and talking about therapists. Just like seeing a doctor or seeing a nurse, we must normalize talking about seeing counselors and therapists. I'm sure if I talked about seeing a doctor, no one will raise an eyebrow. Yes, no one will. But if I talk about seeing a therapist, everyone will raise an eyebrow. So the truth is we must begin to normalize mental health conversations. We must begin to normalize seeing therapists. We must begin to normalize seeing counselors. They have been tutored over the years to make our marriages work better. Or if the need arises, try as much as you can to see a therapist. I've heard cases of 5 divorces that I felt if they had seen therapists or seen a counselor early enough, those marriages would have been saved. And the case would have been saved the trauma that arises from broken home. Well, I hope you found today's video very educating. Please, if you have, give it a thumbs up and then share with your family and friends. And then if you haven't subscribed, this is the time to subscribe. Please subscribe and then come on board, join the family. Do endeavor to turn on your notification bell so that as soon as I post a video, you'll be the first to know. Alright, thank you so much and then see you next week.